Hello everybody, 大家好. In this video, I just wanted to talk a bit about how I learned Chinese and my journey to get to where I am today. Obviously, in my life now, Chinese is such a big part of my life, and I just really wanted to talk about how I got up to this point and the different experiences and things that I've done to improve my Chinese. And currently now, I'm actually sitting in Royal Botanic Gardens. It's a little bit windy today, but nonetheless, pretty good weather to come out and just have a chat. So without further ado, let's get into the video. It's been a little bit over 8 years now since I started learning Chinese, and of course, I wouldn't say my Chinese is absolutely fluent, but I have gotten to a point where I'm pretty comfortable conversationally dealing with conversations with natives and just chatting about my life. So in that respect, I'm pretty proud of how I've gotten here and the degree to which my Chinese is now, but obviously I would love to keep on improving that and get to the really close to native level. But I guess to take it back to the very start, I started learning when I was about 15 or 16. We actually had this program in high school where about 6 people from year level could go to China for 6 weeks. And actually, I remember only about 9 or so people actually interviewed for this program, including me. And I remember thinking, like, I was not going to get it all. Like, I was so scared that I was going to be rejected. But I'm actually really happy that I got accepted into this program and I was able to go to China. I went to Guangzhou for 6 weeks with students from across Victoria, different schools, and we were all there to learn Chinese, attend classes about 3 times a week, and just immerse ourselves in the Chinese society and go around to different markets, try and barter, all of that stuff. So that was like the main part of where my Chinese language learning journey started. And when I came home, I remember thinking, like, I just want to go back there. Why am I home? It's so boring here. So basically, I just wanted to continue on studying Chinese, but at that time, I didn't make it an active effort to keep studying until when we got back home to Australia. And the next year, we actually had to choose some kind of TAFE or different experience on a Wednesday of every week where we would have to learn different skills, go to a TAFE institution, something like that. And I remember the course that I wanted to take, there wasn't enough people for the course to actually run. So I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? And then it hit me. I was like, oh, I can just keep studying Chinese on the Wednesdays. Like, that'll be fine. So I had to get set up with a distance education type situation. Since I was from quite a small school, we didn't really have like a Chinese teacher actually at the school. So I had to do distance education. So there was a school in Melbourne that runs this, and like every week they would send me these worksheets in the mail, and I would have like a phone conversation just once a week. So I was doing that for the last 3 years of my high school, just independently. So it was quite focused around self-study. But I think I really built up the foundation of Chinese doing that. And then after those 3 years, I knew that I wanted to go to university for sure. I just wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but I knew I still wanted to continue with my Chinese. So I did the Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science, so I could still study Chinese as well as studying some of the science that I was interested in as well. But these classes with uni is probably not the best use of your finances to learn Chinese at uni. It's quite an expensive way to study, but nonetheless, I feel like this gave me quite a good structure to continue improving and getting exposed to a lot of different people in the university environment was quite helpful, and getting feedback from the teachers. But it actually, at times, it was quite stressful because you also have to do all the exams, the assignments. So that was quite pressuring as well for me. Another thing also is that my class composed of mostly ethnically Chinese students. So a lot of them actually came from China, maybe when they were, mid-high school. And now they were just taking this subject to get good grades. So I don't think that was quite fair as well. Apart from these downsides to studying Chinese in university, I think there's still mostly upsides. There's a lot of opportunity to get involved in different societies and participate in these different events, cultural language events, which is really good. And the other thing was you can participate in like an exchange program. I went to Singapore myself, so that was a really good experience. So apart from the cost, which was the main kind of downside, I think, the exposure to different people and the experiences that you can have, overall, it was a really worthwhile and valuable experience that I would recommend. I guess, though, when you were so dependent on the actual university system to provide your education, when I left uni, I was like, oh my God, how do I even study Chinese anymore? I don't know what to do. I need to go back to the independent way of studying, which I was not used to. So I had to kind of come up with more resources and things that I can do to keep on improving and not just stagnate at this kind of level. And I do feel like now it's been about, a year or so from graduating, and my Chinese is kind of plateaued a little bit and maybe regressed a little bit. And I haven't been as proactive as I wanted to be in maintaining my Chinese. But I would recommend a few things that I've done recently to try and keep that level. So I'm pretty sure you've probably heard all of the main ones, like watching different Chinese TV shows and movies, speaking with Chinese locals, looking at different social media sites, watching YouTube videos, that kind of thing to improve your Chinese. But I'd just like to recommend a few others that I think are quite helpful. So personally, I've been reading different graded readers and short stories that are made specifically for Chinese language learners. And I'll put in the description below a few different resources and, particular books that I've been using and that I've used in the past before. So check those out. And apart from that, I also there's a specific system like the HSK. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it or not, but it's quite a formal system on how to learn Chinese, what kind of words are involved, the grammar that's involved, and they set it out as a series of different books. Right now it's from 1 to 6, but I think they've added a few more levels to that. But lately I was studying for HSK 5, so I was looking at the textbook and the workbook, working my way through those materials, and I actually recently sat the HSK 5, so I feel like those kind of resources, that's actually a good way to give yourself a kind of goal or level that you want to reach, and you can work towards it. So I definitely recommend, being able to identify your level. There's lots of different websites online that you can do that, and aim for the level above yours, and work on those workbooks and textbooks to be able to then sit the test. It is quite stressful, but I think it's worthwhile knowing your own level and being able to aspire to improve that. I guess speaking holistically though, to be in your own country that the majority of the population, don't speak Chinese. It's mainly an English-speaking country, obviously here in Australia. So getting that exposure to a local Chinese environment is hard to come by. And really, ideally, you'd want to be in China. So this is actually one of the goals that I have for this year or next year. I'd really love to go back to China, move there, and live for about a year or so teaching English. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to and been working towards that goal, getting things organized. So I'll definitely keep you updated on this journey and see how I go. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. If you'd like me to talk about anything more in relation to this video, I'd be more than willing to share more of my story. But I really hope that this video is giving you some insight into, my progress or journey into learning Chinese. And yeah, hopefully it's been a little bit helpful for you to pick up some other resources or tips that you can use to learn Chinese and kind of inspire you to keep on learning Chinese. Thanks, bye-bye.